I'm Wendy Stevens, and I'm with MacroPro. We're a record retrieval company, and part of what I do is host our ever so popular MacroPro and Friends. These are educational events in the East Bay in beautiful Northern California. And during our events, we're fortunate enough to work with some pretty amazing people, and we're lucky enough to call them our MacroPro friends. Recently, we've been spotlighting some of our friends, and today our MacroPro friend spotlight is on Howard Kulkin of Center for Neuro Skills. Hi, Howard. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, Wendy. Thanks so much for having me here today with you.
I'm so happy that you could join me, and I'm excited to hear about CNS and what it is that you folks do for the workers' comp industry in California. But before we talk about CNS, Howard, can you share with me a little bit about, well, a little bit about you?
Sure. I grew up locally here in the Bay Area in Moraga. My wife and I currently live in Martinez. We play in a bocce league. I enjoy a lot of golf, running, and coached Special Olympics for 16 years. Also did a little bit of bowling in my time.
Oh, that's awesome, Howard. That is really cool. Can you share with me maybe the path that you took to be with CNS?
Sure. I was a manufacturer's representative in the arts and crafts and floral supply world for a number of years. And during that time, my sister worked for CNS, and she thought I'd be a real good fit for the company. So it took her about 8 years, but she finally convinced me to give it a shot. And that was about 10 years ago. So it worked out pretty well. I'm so happy that she was able to convince me of that. I love the company. I love what I do, and I love what CNS does. They get fantastic results.
Oh, that's awesome, Howard. It's kind of like when you love what you do, then you don't really have a job. You're sort of just doing an extension of things that you enjoy doing all of the time.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, Howard, about CNS, I'd love for you to share with me some of the things that CNS does.
Sure. CNS is a brain injury rehabilitation program. We've been doing that for about 40 plus years. We have 3 programs in California and 3 in Texas. And we will be opening up our 4th program in Texas in early 2021. So we use a multidisciplinary approach, occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, counseling, and others to work with our patients and individualize programs for each patient. So it's a fantastic program, and we get great results.
Oh, that's awesome. I like the individualized programs for each patient. So, Howard, when there's a workers' comp examiner or claim handler in uh, California, when they are assigned a claim that has a traumatic brain injury, at what point would they contact CNS so that they could include you folks in their claim process?
Well, that's a great question. Really, the earlier that they contact us, the better. You get the best results on brain injury rehabilitation when you can treat a patient as close to the injury as possible. So whether that injured worker is in the hospital, whether they're in a post-acute rehab setting, or even whether they're home, if they contact us, we'll come out and do an evaluation and work with the adjuster on what the injured worker is going through and how to treat it.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, when CNS gets involved in a claim with a TBI, is it all inpatient work or is there outpatient work? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. When patients come to us on an inpatient program, they'll stay with us in our apartments, and they'll work on their activities of daily living in those apartments. They'll do that in the morning. On a typical day, they'll do that in the morning. They'll come to the clinic in late morning and then work with us in the clinic on all of their therapies, go back to the apartments and work more on their ADLs. And so that ends up being like a 16-hour-a-day therapy. That's our inpatient program. On our outpatient program, they're getting the same therapies in the clinic that they get on the inpatient program. It's just they don't have that residential setting component. So we do both.
Okay. Well, that's nice to hear. That's something that a claims handler can put in the toolbox that sits on their desk. And when they get that TBI case assigned to them, they can contact you and they know that they're really getting comprehensive um, work for what it is that they're asking for their injured worker. Howard, you and I travel a lot for work and we meet a lot of people. And I know that I hear people say, my company is the best at what we do. And I hear it often, but I don't hear people say, this is why we're the best. So if you can share with me, Howard, uh, well, here's my question. I'll just put it in a question form. What is it about CNS that makes you folks stand out from the rest? And tell me why.
Well, that's a good question. CNS does stand out from the rest, and for me to go over all of the reasons why we do, it would take a lot longer than what we have on this interview. So I'll just give you a couple of examples. Really, our team approach to customize a program for each individual that comes to us, with our residential staff, working with our therapists in the clinic, and collaborating on how to approach therapies on each patient is really a special aspect of what we do. Us working with our payer partners is another reason. We do things like have a pre-admit meeting with before patients come to us with our payer partners, with the adjusters, with the external case managers, and make sure that we're all on the same page. Make sure that we know what's covered in the injury, what's not covered, and really work with our partners to make an effective program for that individual.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that you said it's a collaborative effort in what you do and how you come to work with the injured worker and the examiner, and how you guys come together and do that. I think that's awesome. So Howard, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to thank you and thank CNS because you folks have always been good and good partners with MacroPro. Anytime that we've had an education event, you have provided some pretty fantastic speakers that have shared some pretty good and comprehensive information. And I just wanted to thank you because you're always so willing to jump in and help. So thank you, Howard, and thanks for visiting with me today.
Well, thank you so much, Wendy. I really love working with all of the MacroPro and Friends events, and with you. They're always so well done and so well organized, and it really is a great opportunity. So, as this is today. So thanks so much, Wendy. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Howard, and have a wonderful day and be well.
And you too. Take care.